Hi and welcome to Treasurie. I'm Louisa and today I'm going to show you how to make this lovely crop top. It uses simple granny stitches and has the easy ties and the ribbed band. It's easily customizable and we'll be making it to size. We're going to start crocheting the top from this point here by making 4 triangles in a granny stitch, and then we'll join them together, do the bottom part, and then finally the band, which is a ribbed band. Start with a slip stitch and chain 3. So yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, and third chain. We're now going to do 2 double crochet into the very first chain. So double crochets, in case you need a refresher, a yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, 3 on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so that's our second double crochet, and we need 1 more into that first chain. And that's our first row completed already. Turn and chain 3 for the second row. And now we're going to do 2 double crochet into the base of the chain. Not the middle stitch, but the base of the chain. So 1, and 2. Every row will start out in that same way. And now we're going to do 3 double crochet into the third chain at the end. 1, 2, and 3. Now the beginning's a little bit awkward because it's so small, so bear with it, it does get easier. Okay, there's row 2. We have 2 lots of clusters. Turn for row 3, and it starts the same way. Chain 3, 2 double crochet into the base, and what's different this time is that we have a gap in the middle. We're going to do 3 double crochet right into that middle gap. Now we're going to complete the row with 3 double crochet into that end chain. There's our row with 3 clusters. Each row will have an extra cluster. So we'll just do row 4 with you, and then you can continue until the correct size. So chain 3, 2 double crochet, 3 double crochet into each of the gaps, and then 3 double crochet into the end. And there's the end of that row. We're now going to continue until this length along the top of the triangle is 1/4 of your bust measurement. So I have a 32 bust, so I need to keep doing rows until it is 8 inches across. Here's my finished triangle. Just double check the measurement, 8 inches. And so all I need to do now is make 3 more. Just a little note, when you're measuring, this end one here tends to curve over, so just straighten it out. Otherwise it might trick you by 1/2 inch, thinking it's shorter than it is. When you've got it the right size, you can fasten off, cut a fairly long tail, and just fasten off, pull it through. We'll be using these tails to join them all together. Okay, now for another 3. So across here is 1/4 your bust, and the height will be 1/8 of your bust. Face them all with the tail on the right. Here's our first one. I'll just move those out the way so you can see. And all we're going to do is insert the hook, and if you grab the yarn you can actually pull it through. We've got a little loop, and use that to do a slip stitch to join the other one. So insert your hook, yarn over and just pull it through, and then fasten off. Pull that nice and tight. So there you have the 2 joined together, and just repeat that so you have all 4 joined together in a circle. Here we go, look, front and back. Before moving on, we'll just weave in our ends. Ends all woven and we're ready for the next section. Flip your top over and we're going to join our yarn again. So just insert at that point and put a slip knot on the end and pull it through. Now chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to do 2 double crochets into that low point there. Do 3 double crochet clusters into each gap. When you get to the end of the triangle, you will just find a spot roughly in the middle and do 3 double crochets and then continue all the way around. Here we are, I've done all the gaps along the first triangle. It's really important that you make sure that everything isn't twisted, so just twist it around. Okay, so that's nice and flat. And then what we're going to do is just find a spot in the middle, may not be exact stitch but close enough, and do 3 double crochets into that. There we go, and just continue into each of the gaps and all the way around. When you get to the end, slip stitch to join. Here we go, our first row of the body is done. Anything that's not quite neat here we'll be fixing up when we do a single crochet border, so don't worry too much about that. We're now going to continue our granny stitch just straight with no increases until we reach our ribbing. We're now going to do a number of granny stitch rows. Just start every row by a chain 3, 2 and 3, and then 2 double crochet into that space below, and then cluster stitch with the 3 double crochets all the way around to the end and slip stitch to join. So you'll do the clusters until we get to the band. So we're here at the moment, so here to here with no increases or decreases. Meet you back tomorrow. Okay, welcome back, and I've now finished my body. For a small size, this is 5 inches. The pattern will have all the different sizing for you, but basically you want it to be around 3 inches shorter than the final length. So the ribbing is 3 inches. We're now going to switch to a 3.5mm hook to do the ribbing at the bottom. We'll just turn it around. Here's where we have finished our last row, and we're going to chain 16. So this is going to be the width of the band, so you can easily adjust that shorter or longer. Here's our chain of 16, single crochet into the second chain from the hook, and then single crochet to the end. Single crochets are insert, yarn over and pull through. You'll have 2 on the hook and just yarn over, pull through 2. The first couple of rows are a little bit fiddly, but it gets much easier very quickly. There's the last one, and that is 15 single crochets. We now need to join it to the band. So if we spin it around again, slip stitch into the next, so not the base of where we've done, but the next stitch, slip stitch into that next stitch, and then slip stitch again, 1 more across. We're now ready to start our second row, so flip it over, so you're working right to left as you always do, and we're going to single crochet into the back loops all the way to the end. I'll just zoom in. So single crochet into the back loop. So if you look at the V from the top, we have a front loop and a back loop. We're putting the hook into the back loop and just a single crochet. So back loops across to the very last stitch. Into the last stitch, we're going to do a regular single crochet. That'll give a little bit firmer edge. We now want to chain 1, turn, so turn your work over. Your first stitch will be a regular single crochet into the base of that chain. And then single crochet into the back loops all the way to the end. We're now back at the beginning and we need to join onto the main part. Slip stitch into the next stitch. Slip stitch into the next again. Turn your work. Chain 1 just to bring it up to a new height. And then single crochet back loop only all the way to the end. Your very last stitch, however, will be a normal single crochet. I'm at the end, so the last one is a regular single crochet. Chain 1 and turn, and single crochet into the back loops back to the end. It's really important that you do the occasional stitch count because it's easy to add one on or skip one. So just always make sure you've got 15 stitches. Maybe just count every 4 or 5 rows. And we're at the end again, and we need to join it onto our main. Slip stitch into the next stitch. Slip stitch into one more, turn, chain 1, and you're on your way. Just repeat that pattern until you get all the way to the end, and I'll meet you back in an hour or so when I've finished my ribbing and I'll show you how to join it up. So I've come to the end of my ribbing and that we now need to join it. If you look here, it's very smooth, and on the inside it's a little bit rougher. You can see the back of all the stitches. So what we want to do is we want to join it so the join is on the inside and then we're not going to see it. So if that's my outside, I'm going to fold with right sides together. And now to join the two pieces, we just need to slip stitch along. So flip it so we can work right to left and find your last little loop. So there's our two edges, and we're going to insert under both of the loops on both sides. The first one's a little bit fiddly, but the rest are easy. Okay, and then yarn over and pull through, and just pull it through that second loop. So that's a slip stitch. And you want to keep it really even so that the ends meet up nicely, and slip stitch to the end. So remember, under both loops. And just make sure you've gone up far enough. You shouldn't have any indent there. That looks good to me. We can now fasten off. All ready for straps. Now we're going to start by joining back under the arm. Actually, they're all the same, so just choose any section. So join your yarn, and we're going to single crochet all the way up to the peak. We're now going to chain our straps. I'll put all the lengths in the pattern, but basically you need enough to reach to the top of your shoulder and then enough to tie. And we're now going to slip stitch all the way back. So just insert your hook into the second chain, yarn over, pull through, and then pull that through the one on the loop already. And this will give a little bit thicker straps. If you just do chains for straps, it tends to cut into you a little bit, they're not as comfortable. And slip stitch all the way back to the beginning. And when you get back here, we're going to join it onto the main with a slip stitch. See how that's a lot thicker? And it'll be so much more comfortable on your shoulders. And it's a little bit stretchy too. So here's my strap. We've slip stitched all the way back to the beginning and just slip stitch it into the top there. That extra slip stitch at the bottom will make it a lot more secure. And now we just need to repeat. Single crochet all the way up to the next peak, chain and come back with your slip stitches and then continue around so that you have 4 straps. Here's our finished top. Look how wonderful that looks. I love it in the green, and this is my pink one that I did initially, which is also nice. This top can be easily customized. You can make it longer, and you could even omit the band at the bottom if you just want a loose top. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.